We were the first Android device to have a GMS certification, which is a big deal to be a truly enterprise Google managed services type device in a large screen without a battery. We pioneered this space, and we did this over a decade ago.
When I think of Android, I think of the Razr Droid phones from, I guess now it's been over 15 years. It's possible that some of your retail targets probably have that same perception in their minds. Can you explain how Elo is doing Android different for these commercial retail use cases?
We have customers now that have taken their entire point of sale infrastructure and moved it to a fixed to mobile type environment where they can capitalize both on the benefit and value. And one customer in particular has built over 50 applications on their mobile device. We literally spend millions of dollars on our security apparatus called OS 360 for our updates, as well as our OS version releases. And so, yes, there could be a vulnerability that could come to light, and without OS 360, you won't be able to patch that vulnerability.
So the death of the touchscreen has been a topic of conversation since the invention of the touchscreen. But what is going to be the thing that keeps the touchscreen alive this time?
Touchscreens aren't going away. They will continue to be the vehicle for human interface to a computer. And it will be by far the constant. You will always have a touchscreen. Now, Elo is investing and working with companies that are doing voice enablement. We're looking at vision applications. We're looking at a lot of different use cases that complement the touchscreen.
Hi, I'm Gladdy with CyberWise here in beautiful and warm Scottsdale, Arizona, which just happens to be the same place where former colleague of mine, a mentor and always a friend, Vice President of North American Sales for Elo Touch Solutions, Luke Wilwerding. Luke, how you doing?
Gladdy, I'm doing great.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Luke, when I think of Android, I think of the Razr Droid phones from, I guess now it's been over 15 years. It's possible that some of your retail targets probably have that same perception in their minds. Can you explain how Elo is doing Android different for these commercial retail use cases?
That's a fantastic question. When you start looking at Android, man, it's been around for a while. Think of iOS, launched in 2007. So if you think about the consumer operating systems like iOS or Android, they proliferated everywhere. I think if someone pulls a phone out of their pocket, it's going to be one of the two.
Yep.
Don't see many Linux phones, don't see many Windows phones.
No.
And so when you start to look at Elo and our Android approach, it's very enterprise focused and driven. And it's different from a consumer type direction. And I like Clayton Christensen and what he did in terms of, or said about the innovator's dilemma. When you start looking at Microsoft, you start looking at a lot of the operating systems, they've built so much into it. And what retailers are looking at, hospitality and other commercial customers, they need something simple. They need something that runs an application. They need something that runs a web app.
Right.
And so you start looking at an application that the world, or I should say an operating system that the world is using, it's gravitating to Android. And I'd further say, and Elo believes this strongly, we're all about open architecture. So when you start looking at Android and its ability to be very open in terms of who can support it, who can develop on it, and how you can accelerate innovation by leveraging Android, it's been a paradigm shift in the market.
Great. Short of just downloading, the latest Google Android version and putting it on a device and calling that a Android device, can you specify a little bit more about how Elo approaches that and what truly is different between what I just described and what you're doing today?
I think it starts with, and one of the big differences is we were the first Android device to have a GMS certification, which is a big deal to be a truly enterprise Google managed services type device in a large screen without a battery. We pioneered this space, and we did this over a decade ago. And so as you look at our growth in Android around the device type mindset for fixed devices and now migrating more into the mobile device space, we've truly been a pioneer in leading this both from a integration capability, enterprise focus, and how we secure our customers' applications and value, let's say, on the devices to create the best customer experiences for their use.
You brought up the innovator's dilemma. And so now here we are, and you said also that Elo was first, and you were, but you're no longer only.
Absolutely.
And so over the last 3 years, you've seen a flood of entrants into the market. Your competitors are now embracing Android like never before. But I do notice that when they market Android, they really stick to we've got the latest version of Android, be that 14, be that 15. That's sort of their value positioning. Whereas I notice Elo does not really talk about the latest Android. There's more of a enterprise, long-term life cycle approach. Can you just expand on that and maybe contrast it to what the competitors are doing?
I think it's important for any global organization to stay in their lane to a point. And we've stayed in this enterprise commercial lane where our customers spend a lot of time on their value, their application, their experiences.
Yes.
And in many cases, they build that and they build it once. And they want to make sure they're partnered with a company like Elo that will ensure that their value stretches for many years. And we've done an incredible job extending the life of our Android portfolio. So if, let's say, for example, I'm a software company and I built an application on Android 10, I need that API level. I need that API level to work for many years because that's the value that I'm on.
Yep.
And we've been able to enable that. So yes, we're now on 14. Did we go to the latest and greatest? We're not going to chase that because we know that our customers, and I want to call them laggards, I want to say that they make massive investments in security as well as ensuring that the value that they bring is going to work and work every single time. And to do that, they can't chase what's next on a Play Store. They can't chase because there's millions of dollars and hours in investment securing and building what they've built. And so again, could we go chase the latest versions? We could, but our customer base doesn't ask us to do that. They want to be on a solid platform where we will patch and protect that current operating system version for years to come to enhance and maintain the value that they've built.
Yeah, it's as I like to say, Apple and iOS, they're chasing the Christmas purchasing cycle. So they have an obligation every year to have something new. But that's a consumer-driven mentality, and that really doesn't fit in your space. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I guess the follow-on answer to your initial question is, we don't necessarily look at the consumer device markets as true competitors because we're sub 1% failure rates. We're built to last. We have a very, very long life cycle, especially on our Android portfolio. Of course, Elo does lots of other things besides just Android, but I would say that we do it best in the world for our enterprise customers. And so if you're really chasing a consumer device and you're wanting the latest operating system and the next thing, probably a consumer company is probably your best fit.
Yep.
But when you're a company that's building out an application environment, it has to work every time. Security is a primary focus and mindset. That's where Elo's value really shines.
You alluded to it in your answer, but the Elo competitors do not talk as much as you do about the maintenance, about the security, about the features over time of an operating system. And so what you've brought to market is branded as OS 360. I find that there's a little bit of a confusion in the market because of what your competitors aren't saying about OS maintenance, about security, and to some degree, they're deferring to the MDMs of the world to be responsible for that. So can you talk a little bit about how OS 360 is unique and what it does compared to maybe what an MDM would do?
Well, there's a couple terms we're throwing around here. So when we start looking at AOSP, which is the wild, wild west of an Android image, that's a non-GMS certified, I downloaded some files and I built an Android image.
Right.
The way that you would update that, patch that, manage that is just, it's up to whoever's doing that. When you enter the GMS world and the CVVs and the updates, both from the chip manufacturers as well as from Google, combining that into true operating system and security updates, that's where a tier one wants you to be, and that's where you have to be in order to really compete. And so when we start looking at the variations, yeah, to your point earlier, there's a lot of competitors out there selling Android. It's a low-cost item. It's an ARM-based chipset. In some cases, there's some performance questions on some of the varying chips that are out there. What Elo's doing with Qualcomm, with our new 6490 chipsets, it's an incredibly powerful solution matched with GMS and the comfort and knowledge that we're truly certified with Google around the GMS platform, delivering then the updates and the operating system versions through our OS 360.
Yep.
It gives you that peace of mind and why people are moving from, let's say, a Microsoft world to the Android world.
So I don't want to put you on the spot. You don't need to name any customers or go too technically down a rabbit hole, but can you describe a scenario that might play out if someone didn't have OS 360, but they were running their enterprise on a version of Elo's Android, but they did not have that maintenance plan? What might happen? What might they experience?
And so we literally spend millions of dollars on our security apparatus called OS 360 for our updates, as well as our OS version releases. And so, yes, there could be a vulnerability that could come to light, and without OS 360, you won't be able to patch that vulnerability. But the other thing is that because of the costs associated with building out these operating systems and these patches, you would want to get the next version of 14 or the next version of 16 from an operating system perspective. And we package that value through OS 360. So you're getting both the security side of it. And again, when you look at the consumer world, it's, hey, we're pushing this down to you every night or every week or whenever we feel that we need to push something down to you. In the enterprise commercial world, I need to be able to grab that patch into a lab. I need to be able to test that patch. Right. I need to make sure I can deploy it and it's going to be rock solid. Because there's a major differentiation between what we do and many others. But I would say, though, that OS 360 becomes vital both as an insurance policy from a security standpoint, but also a forward innovation perspective in terms of the operating system releases. Right. And then you get back to this major point that we're just different from the consumer side of this, and customers want what they want when they want it. And so it's on-demand type patching. It's on-demand type OS updates as needed.
Great answer. You mentioned mobility a moment ago. And, Elo spent, as the inventor of the touchscreen, nearly 50 years really without any battery-focused devices. And now here you are making a major mobile push. And you're getting into scanning, you're getting into handheld payment. Is it fair to say that this is the biggest evolution at Elo since Android?
Well, I'm going to say yes to this, but I'd also say I've been with Elo for 20 years now. And we seem to reinvent ourselves every 3 to 4 years. And so in general, this is just our next reinvention. And you start looking at what our customers need, what they want. We're very quick to react to meet our customers' unique requirements. And that's through our customization side of the business, as well as just our constant asking our customers, what's next? Yep. What do you require? And Elo's really becoming a software and payments enablement company. And when you look at software's moving to the mobile side. And we've seen that through the growth of our Android business. And so when you look at the value of Android, it can move anywhere with you. And so we have customers now that have taken their entire point of sale infrastructure and moved it to a fixed to mobile type environment where they can capitalize both on the benefit and value of queuing to where I can check somebody out in volume, right, or I can take that device. And one customer in particular has built over 50 applications on their mobile device to where now they can extend that value of what would be considered a fixed register anywhere throughout a store, whether that's front of house or back of house. And if you're getting into pick, pack, and ship, if you're getting into inventory management, if you're getting into just following up with the customers, clienteling or other, all of these now become available through the fixed to mobile type value we're bringing with integrated payment. And we love this idea of convenience, how to reduce friction, make it easy. And all of this means that I want to be able to provide to my customer whatever they need and want at that given time. And to do that, you have to be mobile in some cases. Right. And so our value in many cases is this massive portfolio and platform of products for both software and payment enablement. Yep. And mobile has to be a part of that.
So it sounds to me like you're doing a really good job of understanding the market trends, understanding the product pain points, and that drives your innovation cycle. You don't just come out with something for the sake of coming out with something. And so your evolution is along with the evolution of the market.
Well, our mobile products aren't necessarily just a Me Too mobile product. Right. We introduced a true PCI DSS payment product, which there's solutions like a PID, which is a typical table-side payment device, which would be, hey, I've already taken your order, I just need your credit card and let's check you out. Right. Ours is an entire POS system. And as that system, it has the horsepower to run many different applications and capabilities with the fully integrated payment. So when you start looking at table-side service or serving a retailer at a dressing room or upselling some new product, because I'm not saying, hey, it's great to serve you, but go stand in line. I can now serve them where the product is and continue to upsell through the entire transaction. So again, there's a lot of value that through our portfolio we're starting to bring to the table, again, with the mobile side.
Great. I love it. So it's pretty obvious to me after these sets of questions that Android is the enablement operating system for getting applications into the customers and into the associate's hand, be it mobile or fixed. But you're also up against this Microsoft anxiety, as I like to call it. And you recently brought to market Elo Bridge. Maybe you can talk about that and how that helps customers move into Android where they know they want to go, but without with de-risking that move.
Well, it all starts with customers' investments and really software. So if I started with a Microsoft type application and I bought a lot of hardware, well, my application needs change. I bought a type of application, I want to move more towards unified commerce. Well, this unified commerce platform is web app based or an APK based for Android, let's say. I need the Android operating system, but I just spent $1 million on hardware. And so from a CapEx perspective, what do? You call Elo. We will bridge you on your Intel product to Android. And so you will not be held hostage to a software provider that says, well, you got to run on this hardware with this operating system. We will bridge it and enable, as our open architecture has always done, a lot of different choices for you to accelerate your innovation, whether that's with Android or with its Linux or Microsoft. Those are your choices, let's say. Bridge just enables you to use your existing hardware to bridge to an Android capability. And then furthermore, if you wanted to continue forward with an Elo Android option in the future, certainly that will be much easier.
And maybe you're not saying this, but am I understanding correctly that you're saying on an existing hardware chipset that is maybe not pre-built for Android, you can get an Android operating system on that existing hardware?
Well said. And,
Perfect.
And not just an Elo piece of hardware.
Okay.
So we're bridging some of our competitors' hardware as we know that they want to make a shift. And there's still competitors out there that lock you into hardware, software, and services. And we're helping to bridge those customers out of that very proprietary fixed environment into a world where innovation and the idea of quick adoption, fail fast, fail forward, becomes natural because it's open architecture.
So that's true leadership. I mean, you are shepherding the market. Again, you are finding the place to go, but you're doing it by meeting the pain points that you know exist.
Well said.
That's fantastic. Now, look, we understand this is still in the early innings, and I don't want you to get up any trade secrets or anything like that. But as it relates to the Elo Pay relationship with Stripe, is there anything you can share with us about where that stands today and what you see that building for Elo over time?
Well, I was in New York months ago, and I gave a presentation to during one of the Stripe conferences, and the focus there is on soft pause and the idea of tap to pay. And so Stripe is a fantastic payments organization. Elo, in partnership with Stripe, as well as others, in terms of digital wallet, et cetera, have launched products that are specific to tap to pay, soft pause type technology. And when we look at assisted checkout, assisted self-order, and other means where tap to pay or soft pause will be present day, it will be the option of choice because of its easy deployment. It's basically an application that's simply installed on our hardware, and through our NFC capability, you can immediately start taking payments. And Stripe has an incredible soft pause, tap to pay type environment and ecosystem that we're proud to be a part of.
Does that lead itself to the single pane of glass solution? And for those who are watching or listening today who maybe don't know what that really means, can you talk a little bit about single pane of glass payment?
So payments is a very complex type world. And when you start to look at all the different players, there's some unique aspects that you might tend to lean towards one gateway or one payment provider or one type of integration. And so I think payments for the foreseeable future will still be fairly complex, especially in terms of security. And as you look at the PCI DSS, P2PE, these are terms that are commonplace in the payment world, it will maintain its level of complexity. The soft pause tap to pay world is very easy. You're going to pay a little premium for that simplicity though.
Gotcha.
And so how that's going to be deployed is something that we already see happening in Europe. And I think you're going to see more adoption here in the US because, as you mentioned, single pane of glass, I can do tap to pay on my mobile device. I can do tap to pay at my POS. I can do tap to pay at my self-order, self-service, etc., with the simplicity of an Android operating system and an NFC reader. Again, what we have to overcome, though, is that do I have my loyalty integrations? Do I have all the different pieces that my current legacy complex payment ecosystem provides? And I need to start moving that now to this easier, simple tap-to-pay type environment. So I think you will see the single pane of glass. I think you'll see adoption in certain areas where it's going to be, think of SMB. SMB says, hey, I bought this great Elo device. I need to load payment. I can't spend dollars to go do this integration and this complexity. I just need something that's going to be up and running quickly. And soft pause, tap-to-pay will be the answer.
That's great. So I have a question for you that you're not prepared for.
Oh, great.
But I think you're going to have a great answer. So the death of the touchscreen has been a topic of conversation since the invention of the touchscreen. You know, a long time ago when touchscreens were meant to be in an industrial environment, you heard a lot about gorilla arm, this idea of constantly having to operate the arm up, right? Then we all know what happened in COVID. That's when the death of the touchscreen was finally here. And what actually happened was probably the most explosive growth of self-service and interactive-driven retail and hospitality solutions of all time. But now here we are with AI, here we are with mobility, here we are with tap, things that I have in my pocket that don't necessarily drive the use of a touchscreen when I'm out in the public. But what is going to be the thing that keeps the touchscreen alive this time?
It's a complex question with, I'd like to say, kind of a fun answer. So touchscreens aren't going away. They will continue to be the vehicle for human interface to a computer. And it will be by far the constant. You will always have a touchscreen. Now, Elo would say we're a HID device, a human interface device, like a mouse.
Right.
We're a touchscreen. Now, Elo is investing and working with companies that are doing voice enablement. We're looking at vision applications. We're looking at a lot of different use cases that complement the touchscreen. And I get a great example because we were at a trade show. We brought a new peripheral to market called AI Connect with a partner that enables a true voice interaction with a computer. And we're seeing more and more of that. But the reality is that if I were at a furniture store or I'm buying cabinets, I tell the AI, hey, I want to see white shaker style cabinets. And it pulls up 5 or 6 options. Tell me how you're going to identify you want the second one from the right, third one down, or you want to see the next screen or the next picture.
Yep.
It's going to be natural to touch that and to navigate those experiences. So I would say that the touchscreen is still going to be the constant. However, you're going to see innovations happening around that type of interaction that will amplify the ability to interact. And so where we saw human involvement, ordering your burger from your favorite burger joint, you might walk up to an AI-enabled screen and you might say, hey, I want a hamburger with cheese, no pickles, extra mayo, and it'll line item it all out. But when there's a mistake and you need to work through something, you're going to touch that screen. And in many cases, I have to touch the screen to give it permission to listen to my voice in the first place.
Right, like an opt-in step.
You got it. So again, I think the touchscreen will be a constant, but I think the ways that technology is going to advance around the touchscreen are going to be phenomenal.
To some degree, a touchscreen is going to become a commoditized feature of a much better solution that you're going to continue to innovate around.
I have an allergy to the word commodity, but needless to say, I think that you will find touchscreens will be everywhere. And again, Elo is a touchscreen company to a point. We do make now computers without touchscreens. We're building out a much broader ecosystem portfolio rather than just touch-enabled type devices. But people will still need a need for a commercial touchscreen, having the ability to do certain things, the programmatic side, the through glass, the unique things that Elo has always been known for in terms of our capability. But yes, I would say that from the commodity side of it, every device will have a touchscreen, whether it's being used or not. It will just be table stakes.
Great. Well, looks like you have a long future ahead of you. And I want to end with this last question because it has a lot to do with why you're here today, about expert-led marketing and about communicating these highly technical conversations to maybe a technical crowd that doesn't quite get it. You can't expect every one of your sales team members to be as technical as you are and have as much experience as you have. And so I've noticed the way you equip your salespeople for success is with these solutions architects, these solutions engineers who really understand exactly why you're innovating for who. How do you see the ability to get that value of your solutions engineers and solutions architects? How can you get that out to the market in a broader sense and not just be something that a sales team member brings them into a call to do? How can you amplify their value?
Well, it's a question of scale. And that's why we're here today to a point. And when you look at CyberWise's ability to scale through video content and marketing, it's incredible. Because our solutions architects are extremely valuable assets, like you said, but they have a ton of knowledge. And if we can spend several minutes to package their knowledge up, to deliver that to the market in a scalable way, there's nothing better, in my opinion, in how to reach a broader audience in terms of capability, specmanship in some cases, or just different ways to look at a brand or product potential from an expert.
Fair to say that they're really good at developing that trust?
I would say Elo as a whole, it is about our people. And our people are human beings that are very knowledgeable and passionate about our products. And they're very good about building that trust because we do what we say we're going to do. We mean what we say, and we know how to execute.
We're not eating chicken wings today, okay? But there's a camera there, there's a camera there, and there's a camera there. And if there's something, Luke, you want to say about Elo to close out today's conversation, please, it's all yours.
Well, I'd just like to thank Stephen Gladden. He knows Elo very well. We appreciate the CyberWise team for the opportunity to record these segments today and look forward to a very rich future together. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke. That was a great session.